What's up, you beautiful blessed boys and girls? Welcome to the channel. This is Tyler Tote. Guys, I've done some really cool things in my life. I've been to the greatest nightclubs in the world with the world's best DJs. I've been to some amazing dinners with bottles of wine that were cost as much as my car now. I've really been blessed to live a very cool life and gotten to do some very awesome things. But absolutely nothing comes even close or scratches the surface to the joy I get every single day when I open my door and 3 little kids come running towards me. They grab me around my legs. I scoop them up in my arms. Guys, the joy of fatherhood and being a parent is unmatched. I've been so blessed in my life, and to be honest, everything changed for me a day about 8.5 years ago when, you'll see right here, I became a dad for the very first time. She's still my best buddy to this day. Love her. We have so many fun adventures together. Also had the privilege of fostering 7 children here in the last few years and adopting 2 sons, awesome boys, pictured right here. And it's just such a great joy to get to be their dad. Being a dad and being a parent was just something I always looked forward to, even from a young age. I was just very excited. To be honest, I saw my dad just being an awesome dad. He coached all our sports. He was so hands-on and locked in. He always just looked like he was having a fun time doing it. So maybe that's why it rubbed off on me. But I do hear this other side of the coin from a lot of people, especially on social media out there. Oh, when you become a dad or a mom, your whole life ends. Everything's downhill from there, right? Everything's about the kids. You stop dating your wife. You lose yourself. And I do see that sometimes, and I believe that can be true. But what I want to talk about today is 7 great tips to maximize fatherhood or parenthood wherever you're at. Maybe you're in a season where I want to have kids someday, and you'll find some value from this. Maybe you're in the thick of it right now, and you're like, I don't seem to enjoy it as much as maybe I could. Then I want to give you some tips to brighten that up and make it fun for you and fun for your kids. So let's dive in. The first tip I'm going to give you, and look, I'm not going to lie to you, the days can feel long. Again, at one point in our life, we had 3 one-year-olds on top of our 7-year-old daughter. It's really been a roller coaster ride of emotions for us during the foster and adoption phase. And I get it where any parent's at. When you have young kids, there is this temptation to say, the days are very long. But what I would add to that is the years are very short. And as I've talked to anybody who's older and they're done raising kids, they always tell me the same thing. They say, Ty, I'd give anything to go back to a messy house. I'd give anything to go back to one more bedtime story, one more relay race throughout the house, one more time. Now the house is quiet and I'd give anything to go back. So my first tip, and this is a powerful reframe, and I use this often, is, I get it at 6:30, 7 o'clock at night, 7:30 when we're approaching that bedtime. There's always a tendency for me to say, I just can't wait till bedtime. I've been up for 15 hours at that point, right? A lot of times what I'll do is I'll remind myself, the days are long, but the years are short. And so I'll remind myself, someday, long in the future, I'd give anything to come back to this night. So I'm going to win this next minute. What's that look like? Is it a relay race? Is it spinning around in circles? What's it look like, right? And I just reframe that into my head. And I can't tell you how many times this has made a big difference in our life, where I do just want to sit down and finally have some me time, right? But man, my kids are only young once. And so I take them out for a little walk, an adventure, a scooter ride, some races, some look at the moon, talk about the stars. This has led to some of the most fun adventures I have as a parent. It's also a cheat code to keep me in shape. I average 19,000 steps a day. That's in part because my toddlers and I just love to go for walks and love to go on scooter rides and run around and things like that. So your kids keep you active. That leads me right into point number 2. And this is a big one. Took this from my buddy, Zach Small. Love this guy. Presence means so much more to children than actual presence. And what I mean by that is your presence, you being there. Now look, I know working a 9 to 5 or whatever you do for your job is important. You got to provide for your kids. You got to provide that life. Not saying that. But what I am saying is what you do from 5 to 9 more dictates your legacy. Again, that company, if you were to die in a car wreck in 2 weeks, they'd replace you in a week. Your family would never get over this. And so the energy you bring from 5 to 9 really matters. And I urge people all the time, and I give a tip here real quick, is when you're transitioning from that work mode to parent mode, just stop. Just take a pause. This can be 30 seconds, just a few deep breaths. Okay, I'm gonna picture myself leaving work at work and picture myself being that high energy parent. What's that look like? When I walk through the door, what's it look like? Is it a, how was you guys' day? And that's the energy of the family? Or a, hey, daddy's home or mommy's home. Hey, come here, let me scoop you up. Tell me the best thing about your day. Tell me this. Let's go on a walk. Let's go play here, right? You can choose to bring one of those 2 energies into your home. Your kids will feed off that energy And so I'd urge you as the parent to focus on your presence, not just giving your kid this or that or the iPad telling them to get lost, but your actual presence. Ask them questions, engage with them, see what they like to do more of those things with them. The third one, and this can be challenging, but this is a very important one, you gotta learn healthy boundaries, and you gotta learn that no is a complete sentence. So what do I mean by this? I mean, before I had children, and I think this is where some of the negative connotations can come from. I'll be honest, I golfed a couple times a week. I met buddies at bars a couple times a week. We watched sports games. We did a lot of the other stuff, right? Well, I just kind of realized that once I started, I can't be successful at all these things. I can't maintain 100 friendships in the way I once did. I can't just go out every weekend and golf for 4.5, 5 hours when I have young kids at home if they're wanting my attention. You only have so much bandwidth. And this is where I talk about you have to set healthy boundaries and priorities. Now, a lot of us, we just keep living life sort of on autopilot. We just keep doing what we do. I would urge you to sit down, write in order the list and things in your life you want to be great at, world class at. What are those things? For me, it's faith. I want people to see me and be like, that's a dude that has a big faith. He's on fire in his faith. I want to be fit and a high energy kind of dad and that kind of guy. I want to be a rock solid husband. As I go down the list, I want to be a great provider and provide income streams and a great life for my family. I list in order the things that are most important to me. I sort of have that hierarchy. And so it becomes very easy then for me when a friend says, hey, Ty, you want to go to the bar tonight and watch this game? Well, I look at that hierarchy and you know what? My relationships and some of the friendships are down here and my family and my stuff is up here. And so it's very easy then for me to just say, hey man, you know what? Tonight I'm taking my kids to this park. If you want to join, you're more than welcome. Tomorrow I'll be at the gym at this time. If you want to join, you're more than welcome. But again, you have to have that clear vision in your head. So no is a complete sentence. Hey Ty, you want to go to the bars with us? Nah, I don't really do that, man. Hey Ty, you want to come to this thing? Nah, I don't really do that, man. I'm focused here. You lose some of those drinking buddies perhaps along the way, but I've had to give up a lot of things in order to make some other things better. This comes from intentional living and knowing very clear in your mind what you want to be great at. Now, I might be talking to somebody out there who's like, man, I love golf. I'm with you. I like golf a lot too. If that's really high up in your hierarchy and networking for business or whatever that is, by all means, go golfing 4 times a week. Maybe you can brainwash your kids to be great at golf. I tried with my daughter. It hasn't worked yet. I got 2 more sons to try with, but I'm not saying any of these things are better than the other or worse than the other. You just need to clearly define what winning looks like in your life and then prioritize those things and be ruthlessly intentional about saying no to the other things that don't. The last thing I would ever hope my kids would say, and they say, well, what's your dad do? Or, tell me about your dad. Well, my dad just works a lot and he's gone a lot. I can't imagine that. I grew up in a home where my dad was always playing with us. He was always out. He was running around with us, creating great memories. Those are some of the best memories of my life. And I don't want my kids to get older and just think, yeah, dad worked a lot. Yeah, dad was like always off up in his office. Dad was always this. And now, man, I want my kids to remember me being there, having fun, creating memories, having adventures with them. To be honest, it's more fun to me to do that too. Number 4, and this is a really big one. I see a lot of parents make this mistake. I'll be honest, I did too when my daughter was first young. Now that we've had 8 or 9 kids come through, we've gotten a lot better at this. And that's don't give your kids so many options. Look, I see this all the time, man. Parents got a 3 or a 4-year-old and they're like, well, what do you want to do today, Teddy? What do you want to do today? Or what do you want to eat today? Look, you're the parent for a reason. So when we talked about healthy boundaries before, this applies to you and your child. I never say to my kids, hey, what do you guys want to do? Because you know what they'll want to do? Probably eat donuts and go to Chuck E. Cheese every day. And I'm not doing that. So you know what I do? I say, hey guys, what would you like to do today? You want to ride scooters to this park? Or do you guys want to go over here and do relay races and sidewalk chalk? Okay, now they feel empowered because they're still making the decision. But guess what? I'm going to win either way. I want to do both of these things. And so, me and my wife do this a lot too. We like to hike. We like to be outdoors. We like to do a lot of these things. So we just give our kids the option. Hey guys, you want to go to this trail and climb up this thing today? Or do you want to go over to this park and run around here and play today? Either way, my wife and I are winning. We're going to do what we enjoy. We're reinforcing health and all the things that are very important to us and our family. But now our kids have a sense of agency as well. They get to actually choose where we go. And to me, that's such a cheat code for I'm going to do what I want to do too. And now I'm inviting the kids to have some agency and let them pick what they want as well. I believe this is also why we see a lot of entitled children these days, or a lot of entitled young adults. They just haven't had boundaries. They haven't had a parent to really parent them. I'm buddies with my kids, of course. I love doing activities with them. I love having fun with them. But my goodness, I need to set boundaries for their protection. And oftentimes we'll tell them, hey, buddy, it's not because we don't want you to have fun. It's because if you cross this road without looking or without waiting for dad, you can get hit and hurt. And so setting those healthy boundaries, giving them some choice and letting them feel empowered is a big parent win. Number 5, and if you're a part of this channel, you know I am super passionate about this. I coach and teach a lot of guys on this all the time. Keep dating your spouse. Now listen, I get a lot of pushback, especially from moms on this one. Well, we can't leave the kids. We can't, that's selfish. I always tell them the same thing. You got 168 hours in the week. If you're anything like a lot of the parents I know and talk to, 160 of them is going towards your kids. You should be taking 5 to 6 for yourself every week and a few for you and your spouse every single week. Now, why is this super important? Number 1, your kids are going to look at you and say, this is normal. If your kids never see mom and dad dating and laughing and having fun together, why does your daughter want to grow up and get married? And what is that? What is the fun in that? If the husband is coming home every day and just grumpy and low energy and sitting on the couch and doesn't look like he really likes his wife, why are your sons going to grow up and want to pursue marriage and have a family? My wife and I look at this as a vital part of our mission and how our kids perceive us. We go on 2 to 3 dates every week, and we're very clear with our kids. We do this because mom and dad love each other a lot. We have a lot of fun together, and this creates a very safe environment. Our kids know, without a shadow of a doubt, mom and dad really like each other. We joke that we love our kids so much that we ignore them about 6 to 8 hours a week and just focus on each other to grow ourselves and keep growing our relationship. My daughter had a friend over not that long ago, and we overheard her in the other room telling her friend had asked the question, why do your parents leave? And she said, oh, they go on dates a lot because they really love each other. And at that time, she had just turned 8. That was a little bit ago. And we smiled and we hugged each other and said, we're doing something right. Our daughter now sees this, right? She's going to perceive that as normal. And when she looks for a future mate, she's not going to settle for somebody who just kind of blows her off or doesn't think that that's an important thing. No, that's the standard for our family. So I think you need to model that for your kids. Keep dating your spouse. Number 6, this is a hard one for me, I'll be honest, especially with my daughter, but you gotta let them fail. I find this a lot easier with my sons for some reason. They're running in the park, they fall down. It's very easy for me to just, hey, get back up, buddy, dust it off. We got a whole routine. Hey, we shake it off, right? The T-Swift thing or whatever it is. It's a little harder for me with a daughter, but I've really learned that it's okay to fail. We don't want to raise kids that learn in school, well, if you miss it, that's what we're going to focus on, right? Like my daughter will come home and, oh, I got a 96, I'm disappointed. I'm like, you got 96 out of 100 right. Let's focus on that first. Great job. Now what can we just learn and get better from the other ones? But we don't need to always focus on trying to be perfect. We can teach our kids from a young age that it's okay to fail. In fact, I talk to my kids all the time. Daddy fails often. I've failed at a couple businesses. I've failed at a couple different ventures I've done. That's how I learned, and that's why I'm successful today. All-time greatest basketball player ever. That's not LeBron James. That's Michael Jordan for all you kids out there. He once had a really famous commercial that said something like, 100 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and I've missed. And he goes through all these failures in his life, and at the end he says, that's why I succeed. And I think if we can imprint this on our kids from a very young age, it's a very powerful thing. Very recently, I picked up my daughter from school and we were heading to swim lessons. As we start to drive to swim lessons, I look back and she's starting to tear up and she says, Daddy, I didn't pack my swimsuit. And I could tell it was bothering her, and she's I'm so sorry, now we're gonna be late for swim. So I pulled over the car and real quick I just said, hey baby, I don't expect you to be perfect. Maybe Daddy could have done a better job of reminding you this morning, or all we have to do now is learn from this and then we both win. Let's just create a little system in the morning, maybe a little checklist of here's the things we're laying out. Let's just create a little system and get better from this, right? So it ended up being a really good lesson for her that, you can fail sometimes and it's okay. That's how we learn. That's how we get better. It's not always a stressful thing. It doesn't need to be this end all be all. If we can imprint onto our kids, it's okay to fail. That's how we learn. I think we all win. Number 7, I got to wrap this one up quickly. Quit buying expensive stuff, especially for really young kids. I'm just going to say, man, when we had our first daughter, we wanted to get the fancy sweater, the fancy pants, all this. It is ridiculous. I'm telling you, go to Goodwill, go to bargain places, get the stuff at Walmart or whatever is really cheap. All the young kids are going to do is poop and puke on it. When we get our kids a nice toy, to be perfectly honest, they play with the box more than they play with the toy. This is a really big thing that I see a lot of parents doing. Man, oh, we got to spend all of our paycheck and all of our money on on the kids stuff, right? And I'm telling you, again, it goes back to presence over just presence. And you don't need to get them the fanciest stuff. You don't need to spend and waste a lot of money on this stuff. Just be with your kids. Just play with them. You can take them to a park, that's free. Library, that's free. Relay races, that's free. Hikes, that's free. Million different things. Hide and seek, that's free. Read them books. All these things that you can do. You don't need to spend a ton of money on them. You guys know on the channel I always give you a bonus one, so here it is. This is my man, That Fit Lawyer. I love this guy. He put out a tweet about 4.5 years ago that actually changed my life. And it said, a dad's job is to lead his kids on adventures. And man, something rose up in me when I read that, and I said, I need to do a better job of that. And so I've made it my mission. Me and my wife talked about that after. How can we really lead our kids on adventures? And so several times a year, we book really cheap Airbnbs out in the middle of the desert, or, we do some really fun stuff. And so, I would urge you to go at it with that mindset. I can't tell you the amount of joy and fun I have on some of these adventures. And I think if you're a parent and you're taking kids on things that you like too, everybody wins. It's a really good thing. Thanks for tuning in, guys. To wrap up again, I've gotten to do some very cool things in my life. I know the challenges that parents face. I'm not going to sit here and say it's just 100% all the time awesome. But I feel like if you implement a lot of these things, you get a lot more out of parenthood than you put in. And guys, if you approach it with the mindset of lead them on adventures, have fun, give them some choice, go back to some of these frameworks that we talked about, I believe it can be a lot more enjoyable for you and them. So hope you guys found some value out of this video. Go have the greatest day of your life, man. Go hang out with your kids, be present, have a great day, bless up, go change the world, baby.